Hey there, guys. Welcome back to another session. Today's session, I will be handling faith versus failure. Last week's session was about faith versus fear, led by Carmen. If you haven't checked it out already, go check it out. So, how would you guys describe and explain failure to someone? I would personally describe faith. I would describe faith as believing in something you have not seen yet. What about failure then? Failure is harder because failure comes in many forms. But we can start by describing failure as the outcome that has brought you to your knees and has kept you on your knees. It is the lies that tell you you are worthless, that you are useless, that you are unloved. Failure is you telling yourself to give up, to not try anymore, to not move forward. But here's the thing, guys. There's no failure-free life. Failure is the world and Satan's way to break us instead of make us. But remember this, guys. God cannot mend what isn't broken. God cannot rectify errors without mistakes being made. So the problem is, what do you do after the failure? Do you curl up in a corner, wallowing in your own mistakes, in your own fear, in your own failure? Or do you realize that God is greater than your failure and you are a child of God, thus making you greater than your failure? Through faith, we can move forward, we can stand up. With faith, we can achieve the impossible things because our God is a God of impossible. It's a God of miracles. You see, Satan shows us the failure that's right in front of us and the problem that's right in front of us. Whereas God shows us the solution, how to overcome the failure and how to overcome the problem that's in front of us and that's coming afterwards in the future. God shows us the big picture through faith. Whereas Satan tries to diminish us with failure. All right, and I'm going to read in Matthew 17, verse 20. Matthew 17, verse 20 says, "Because of your unbelief, for assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to the mountain, move from here and there, and it will move. And nothing will be impossible for you. However, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting." So guys, I don't know if you guys ever have seen a mustard seed, but it's very small. So if we have the power, this little faith, and we have the power to move a mountain, why are we failing to move the mountains in our lives? And the mountains being the fears, the failures, and the problems we face as Christians. Why are we struggling to move those mountains? Well, there's no simple answer I can give you straight, but the answer involves trust. Trust. We struggle to trust God completely when it comes to our life. We struggle to let go of our old self, of the person that is controlled by fear, by unforgiveness, by failure. If I can give you guys an example about trust and faith, I always wanted to go parachute, and I still want to go parachute one day when I can afford it. Let's say it like that. But when you're actually in the sky and you have to parachute, ironically, you have to take the leap of faith and jump out of the plane. But you have to have the faith that you will land safely on the ground. You have to have the faith that the equipment you're wearing, the parachute you're wearing, doesn't falter or break. Now, the thing is where the trust comes in. You have to trust the instructor that he instructed you well. And if he parachutes with you, you have to trust him that he will get you safely on the ground because he has your life in his hands. You have to trust the pilot that the pilot knows what he's doing and the plane does not crash. We apply the same principle to God in every scenario we are. We have to trust and have faith in God that God will prevail for us. And the outcome, what will happen there at the parachute, the outcome will be, I won't be living in fear or anxiety. What if the parachute didn't open? Because I would have enjoyed it, because Father would have restored my joy because I trusted him and I had faith in him. All right, whether you fail your job or you fail a task given by you by your parents or by someone, or you're not really good at sports, or even if you fail your grades, um, God doesn't care about that. God doesn't care about your failures and your achievements. God only cares about what's in here. He cares about you as a person. He cares about what is ahead of you, a greater plan than your failures. If I can take an example, I'm going to take Peter from Matthew 26, verse 34. I'm going to read to you guys. Jesus said to him, "Truly I tell you this very night before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. And then Peter said, "Even if I must die with you, I will not deny you." And all the disciples said the same. So the thing is, Peter did deny Jesus at the end, but it wasn't the lack of love or the lack of loyalty towards Jesus, but it was the lack of faith. It was peer pressure from his end. It was in here in his heart, and God knew what was going on in his heart. God knew that he would fail, that he would deny Jesus 3 times. But still God chose to forgive him because God knows Peter has a greater purpose in life, greater than that failing. And Peter, like most of us, he felt like a failure. He couldn't look God in the eyes. Like most of us, we can't face God. But God knows there's a greater purpose for each and one of you before you even were born. So these failures that we go through in life, God doesn't care about it. Instead, he uses those failures as stepping stones of growth for you to become stronger as what you were at the beginning, for you to grow and become more of yourself, to find your identity more. All right. Another type of form of failure we get is when we feel God fails us. Now, this is an example for, let's say we get bullied on school or bullied by people for that matter. We get called names, get labeled, we get judged, and we feel God has forsaken us. Why do we as Christians go through that? Why doesn't he put an end to it? We feel he has abandoned us. Or for the simple other reason, we ask God for a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a wife or a husband for that sake. And God doesn't prevail. And God doesn't answer the question. He's just silent. And then we take it and we get hurt and get angry with God. Even deeper cases like divorce or passing of a family member or domestic problems, we tend to pray one-sided about these issues. We don't allow God to give us his word to us. We just pray and go away. We don't converse with him, and we choose what we want for our lives, not asking God what is right for my life. What is your will for my life? We choose our will above God's. Another form of failure is when we feel we failed God. In other words, premeditated failure or premeditated sin. Now, what that is basically is willingly sinning. If you are totally aware of what you're doing at the moment, of what God says about the sin you're going to do, and you're still going through that. King David is a good example in the Bible of that. It's like at that moment you feel like when you did something wrong and you can't look your parents in the face, or you can't go to your parents because of the guilty feeling or the feeling that you're a failure. It's the same principle with God. But even though we have those consequences on our life, God is bigger than this failure. He's there for us to help us overcome these obstacles. But if we don't stop defining ourselves with our own personal consequences, we won't be able to walk in confidence. I'm going to share a little testimony with you guys. When I was feeling like a failure towards God, and when I feel like I failed God, when I go through a spiritual ditch, I feel like I cannot give a sermon, I cannot teach you guys something. I am no value on the team of the leadership team because I'm not spiritually there. I'm not spiritually right for it. And it's lies. It's lies given to you because even though you're going through something, God doesn't forsake you. He's still there. You choose not to let him in. It's lies given to you that your loved ones and your surrounding friends or your brothers in Christ are not there for you. And one of my loved ones in Christ reminded me that even though I'm going through something, that doesn't mean God doesn't use you as a vessel. You can still be a vessel of God, even though your heart and your spirit is not as it should be. There's something I want you guys to remember. It's like an eye-opening thing that convicted me as well. You can always pick your sin, but you can never pick your consequences. So before you guys just click off this video, just go spend time with God. Ask Father to convict you guys as well. Let God show you where you felt like you failed God or where you blamed God for something. Let Father journey with you through that. And be silent for a minute and let God do the work through you. And yeah, guys, that's my message about faith versus failure. I hope you guys enjoyed the message and can take something out of the message. If you guys are available at 6 o'clock at Friday, come visit us at the youth. We will be open and awaiting your presence. Blessings.